Hi folks, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Payo and I am a traveler who also loves to meet people. And I think a blend of both is where this concept of melting pot has come about. In my Melting Pot series, I will be talking to lots of inspiring people from different parts of the world and also from different cultures, whom I meet during all my travels. The common factor between these folks will be the desire to follow their passion and make it a way of life. So step into this melting pot and enjoy the chats. Hi listeners from all over the world. Welcome back for another very exciting Melting Pot episode. My guest in today's episode needs absolutely no introduction, especially in the tennis world, where people refer to him as a tennis guru. He may not agree, but I know that he's being referred to as a tennis guru. He's a professional player who has seamlessly transitioned from being a player to an absolutely amazing coach and a mentor. He's none other than Galo Blanco. Thank you so much, Galo, for joining me today.
Thank you, Payal. I disagree with everything you have said, but as you said before, I'm just a person who I like my job, and I'm trying to do my best.
I think your journey has inspired, and there you cannot deny it. It's inspired so many young players, to want to succeed in, as we all know, a very, very competitive tennis world. So I want you to share, with all my listeners who obviously tune in from all over the world, what inspired you to pick up a tennis racket in the first place?
Well, it's a long story. Everything starts when I was 4 years old. My dad, who is a doctor, was a doctor already retired. He liked to play tennis. He was a tennis coach. He was all day in the hospital, working as a doctor. But then I don't know. The way I think his life, it was always about tennis. He wanted to play tennis. Never was a pro player, but he started studying, as a tennis coach, and he started coaching me. We are from the north of Spain. There is not usual to have tennis players. We are literally like 1,000 kilometers from Barcelona.
What's the name of the area that you're from originally?
It's Asturias. It's Oviedo right in the north of Spain. So it's 1,000 kilometers away from Barcelona. So I started to play tennis with him. I don't know. I love it. I cannot start playing just like a hobby, but then I started being good, regional, then national. I was one of the best in Spain. When I was 12, I got an offer from the federation, to have a scholarship in Barcelona, but I was quite young. I was 12 years old. My parents, they at that time, they thought like it's no point to send their son to Barcelona, 1,000 kilometers away from home, and just to play tennis. So they refused it. And then when I was 13, the year after, I was having a really good results in national level because my parents, they could not afford to pay anything, and every time I was playing a tournament, I was winning it, and I got another offer again from the Spanish Federation. And at that point, my dad asked me that if I really wanted to be a tennis player. So I say yes, I would love to go to Barcelona. That was the place where every single player was staying, try to become a pro, and yes, I came here, and actually it was a really good generation of players and coaches that helped me to get to where I get, I become pro. I was, I don't know, 40 in the world. I was really lucky, I was really lucky to become a tennis player. And then after I finished my career as a tennis pro, I don't know, I didn't know what to do. I got married, My wife got pregnant. I told her like I'm not gonna travel anymore, because I was traveling around 35, 40 weeks a year, and I say like, okay, I will help you with our kid. But actually, I don't know. I start trying to. I had different kind of offers, from tennis world agencies, and I decided to try to start. I don't know. One of the on my weakness as a tennis player, it was the patience, and mentally I was quite weak, and I started trying to work with psychologists and mental strength and how I don't know how can I. My biggest challenge was how can I help the players or the young generation, to become better mentally and with the problems that I had in the past as a tennis player, and this is why I decided to become a tennis coach, with my experience on what I was living, as a tennis player. How can I help the youngers to become better than I was? I started working in a tennis club for 2 years, working with 420 kids in between,
Wow.
in between 4 and 12 years old. This it was really good for my patients, in order to learn how to start with the base. And then in 2010, I retired in 2006. In 2010, I start thinking about building an academy, and this is why I don't know. When I was a tennis player, I got a really good relationship with all the Spanish tennis players. And my partners are Jairo, Velasco, and Fernando, Vicente. Both of them, they were pro players. Fernando as a singles player and Jairo as a doubles player. And we all together, we thought like we could build a good academy where we can share, all the experiences that we had as a tennis players and how we can, the transition, from the base to the pro. How can we work on this? And actually, we are having this academy in Barcelona where we are working, and we're having like around between 30 and 40 kids a year, and it's really good. I'm really happy about it.
I mean, I've seen you, and you're just so hardworking and passionate about what you do. I've seen you on the tennis court, and I see that you give an absolute 100%. And I think that's what obviously you expect from your players as well. So, do you get disappointed when you see that a particular player has potential but doesn't really have, that push and the drive and the aggression? Do you get disappointed? How do you then, do you work with the mind of the player? What is your mantra to motivate that player? Because you have,
Yeah.
like you mentioned, you have tennis players in your academy who
Mhm.
are, I mean, I'll come to the professional players later, but who obviously come to the academy, and they come there because of you and because of Fernando and Jairo, as you mentioned,
Mhm.
to get better. But if they don't, they have the potential but not the drive, then how do you try and motivate them?
I do get really disappointed, okay, because when I see the potential and I see that the player doesn't want to work, it's no point. I mean, without work, you're never gonna get where you want. Okay, this is something that why I got success as a tennis coach and not as much as a player is because. What I was not doing as a player, I'm doing as a coach. And as you said, I'm giving my 100%. I would say I give my 120%. Okay, I try my only challenge every day I wake up is it's to try to be better than the day before. That's the way I see life in everything you do. It's not only tennis; it's everything in life. Okay, every time you wake up, you need to try to be better than the day before, and this is what I try to transmit to every single player or every single, I don't know, whatever you do in life, you try to be better every day. Okay, so yes, I do really disappointed when I see someone with skills and that I see that has potential and doesn't give his 100%, because at the end of the day, the percentage of players, if we talk about tennis, that they earn a living, it's really really small. I would say it's a 0.0001% of the
Yeah.
players that they are trying. So
Mm.
that's why it's sometimes it's really disappointing. So what I do, it's I try to convince them that they are not doing the right way. I try to explain them like my experience as a player, my experience as a coach, but I don't force them. Never.
Mm.
I try to guide them, to say like, okay, you are not doing well. This is what is gonna happen if you keep doing the same way, and this is the thing that you need. I mean, these are the things that you need to do to at least have a chance, to become a good tennis player or whatever you do in life. Then it's up to them to do what I'm saying or to choose the other way, which is the way that they were doing, like, okay, I'm talented, I'm gonna, I don't know, I'm gonna make it, whatever. Because the problem in tennis, and at the end of the day in all the sports and in life, is like when you see someone say like how good you are. I don't believe much in the people that they are saying how good you are. I mean, at the end of the day, you have to be humble. You have to have the feet on the ground, and you have to, as I say, you have to try to be as good as you can and as better as you can every single day. What is the experience that I have as a tennis player and as a tennis coach? For example, if I look at the players that we have right now, when I look at Rafa Nadal, when I look at Roger Federer and Novak Djokovic, why they become so good in the sport? Because they are challenging each other. At the end, they
Yeah.
are feeding each other. They don't want to be number one, and that's all. I remember from my generation, it's Carlos Moya. Carlos Moya. I was living in the same room with him when we were, I don't know, when we were 15 for 3 years in a row, and he became number one in the world, and that's all. That was his goal. He became number one in the world, and it was over. And stop working. So what happened with these guys? They don't want to become first. I mean, number one in the world. They want to become the best in the history. You know,
Yeah.
they want to make history. So at the end of the day, when you see Federer and you say, "Wow, he's the god of tennis," but then you see Nadal and you see the way he's working and the way he's practicing and the way he's competing, and you say like, okay, this guy, he wants to be better than Federer, and he may become better than Federer. But then you see Djokovic and he's thinking the same. And
Yeah.
these three guys are amazing, but they are amazing as a competitors. They are amazing as a tennis players. They are amazing as a persons. I mean, it's everything all together. They wanna make history. And they are feeding each other. And this is the best thing about it.
Mm. Yeah. What to become a tennis player and to become a player, who is in the top league, how much of it is physical and how much of it is mental?
I would say 80-20, 80 mental, 20. I mean, at one point, if you ask me, I would say like 100 from the top 100, 99% of them, they have a really good skills. They are really good in terms of tennis, in terms of playing, in terms of fitness. But who is the strongest mentally? Who is the smartest? Who is the one who is willing to be better? This is all mental. That's why I'm saying like I would say 80%, I would say 80, 75% it's mental, and the rest is physical, it's, I don't know, technical,
Tactical.
whatever,
Yeah.
you know?
Tactical. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. How did you transition? I mean, you did mention that you've set up an academy, but you've also, worked with some very, very top players. and a couple of them you've groomed and got them to a certain level. So how did you identify potential in them? Because it was, I remember earlier in the conversation you said that, you, after you got married, and you said, no, you're not going to travel because as a player, you were traveling whatever number of weeks in a year and you were away from the family. So at one point you went back to doing that, but not yourself as a player, but traveling with players. I mean, I can mention Karen, for example, Karen Khachanov, or you worked for a while with Dominic Thiem, and prior to that with Raonic, and it probably also with Feliciano Lopez, but I'm not sure about that. You did.
You're listening to a fusion of stories recounted for the first time ever by some fascinating people from across the globe with me, Payo, on this very unique and special podcast series, Melting Pot.
Feli was my first player by far, but he's one of my best friends. I was helping him when I was a player and he was starting, and then when I retired, he asked me for help. So actually, I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. I mean, I was, as I said, I was traveling from early age, and at one point I was here working in that club that I was working with 420 kids, but this last 2 years and a half, and then I realized like I was missing a lot the tour, and I was missing traveling as well, because at the end of the day I was doing this all my life. So I start working with Feliciano, and I stopped with him after 7 months. You know why? Because first of all, was one of my best friends, and at one point I realized like, okay, if I'm gonna push him to the limit, I will lose my friendship with him. So that's the thing. I mean, it's not easy. It's not easy. I always push to the limit as a tennis coach. Of course, I'm not going to lie to you. I mean, you need skills to become a really good tennis player. Okay, but what I like is to get, as you say, you mentioned Karen Khachanov, you mentioned Milos Raonic. I started working with Milos when he was 19 years old. He was 217 in the wall, and I stopped with him when he was 13 already in the wall. So it was 3.5 years of hard working. Well, I don't know. It's really tough to explain now in a few minutes. I could talk for you for hours, but he was a really hard worker, which is the main thing. He was trusting a lot in his coach, which was me, and the team that we have around. And this for me is crucial, with Karen, it was the same. I got him when he was even younger, when he was 17 and 417 the wall. And I still have a relationship with him, but I stopped with him when he was 24 in the wall. So it's a lot of work behind. It's not only about me as a coach. It's all the team. It's the fitness coach. It's everybody, everybody involved. But as I say, they have to have the skills. They do have the skills to become a top players, and then of course the hard work that they are putting every single day, and the trust that they have in their team, it's very important.
So when they approach you, do you go by your gut that, yes, I think this particular player has a lot of potential, or do you observe, over time and then see the potential? How do you, because every player that you've worked with, and now I know that Rublev is in your academy as well, and he is going places. So do you work with your gut, or do you observe the player to see the potential?
It's a little of everything, As when I stopped with Karen, with Khachanov, as I said, he was 24 in the wall. He didn't understood where I stopped. I stopped because I started a new part in my life. I would say a new chapter in my life, okay, where Gerard Piqué, the soccer player from FC Barcelona,
Uh-huh.
called me and asked me to be part of the new Davis Cup format. So as I'm the way I am, I'm completely crazy. I fell in love with this project, and right now I'm in charge of Davis, of the new Davis Cup. So I told him like I will stop. With him, he could not believe, he could not understand why I wanted to stop. I say to him like I could not travel full time, and he understood, and we stopped it. After I stopped with him, I got a call from Dominic Thiem, who was already number 5 in the world. And actually, for the project that we had with the Davis Cup, it was not sure that, because we had to pass a votation, and it was an AGM in Orlando in August, and I'm talking about November. Okay, so it was like 9 months ahead, where we had to work a lot, and it was not secure that we will have this agreement with the ITF, and we will be the ones in charge of the new format of the Davis Cup. Okay, so after 1 week, I got a call from Dominic, and I say, "Wow, this is going to be the first time that I'm going to be with a top player without get him, from young age." And this was
Yeah.
something that it scares me, a little, because I say like, okay, I was lucky to be successful always. I had I don't know if to say the eye, to see the potential on some players, and then to start working with them. And I don't know how to say. I mean, I had the trust. For me, the most important thing about the relationship that you have with the player is the trust that he has in you. Okay, so they trust me a lot. I have type of work that sometimes people like, and and I have people that they hate me about it as well. Because
Yeah.
I push them to the limit. I never cross the red line, but I always push them to the limit. So the time that I start working with Tommy, and also it was tough for me, because I say no to Karen, and then as soon as I start traveling with Tommy, even that it was not full time and it was only 10-15 weeks, it was not easy for me. But it gave me the chance to work with someone that it was already there. And I'm saying this because it's completely different. To get one player when he's 17, he's 18, 19, whatever, you have to build the player, other than having a player that is already there, number 5 in the world, and you have to explode other different things. And actually, it was pretty amazing, because I would say like Domi also is not an amazing player, which he is. Is amazing now. Right now, he's number 3 in the world, but he's an amazing person.
Mhm.
Okay, and I learned a lot from the year that I was with him. It's every day you learn something from this kind of people and players. It's not only about how they work, is their mind, the way they see the things, and they are special for me. I mean, I always, when someone asks me, can you build a top 100 players, I say yes. You can build a top 100 player, but you cannot build a top 3 player. They born to play tennis.
Yeah.
you
I
know
totally. Yeah. Yeah. I agree. Yeah. Yeah.
Coming to your question, I mean, it's a little of everything. You see the skills, of course, but I look at everything, how they are meant. Before I commit to work with someone, I always look at their matches, the way they talk, the way they are, everything. It's all together. I will never be able to work with someone who doesn't have the values that I have, or that my family or my parents they gave me. You know?
Yeah. I've seen you, I've observed you when you've been with, in the big sort of league tournaments, you're in the player's box as the coach of the player or the mentor of the player, there is a certain calmness about you. It's impossible to tell what's going on in that head of yours.
Yeah.
so, so I wonder, what would, I mean, now you're not sort of traveling with a player, but when you did, what went on in your head when you were watching, what would be the top on your mind?
It's really tough, to be honest. It's really tough to explain. I always say I'm like a fire, So
Mm,
sometimes I don't know. You can ask me at one point what is going on in my head, and I would say something, and 5 seconds after, I would say another completely different thing. You
mm,
know,
mm,
it's I don't know. It's something weird. I have the ability to see some things, that I would say sometimes it's lucky. I don't know if it's lucky or what it is, but it's not easy. It's not easy to explain.
I know it's all these years of
S-
experience as well.
yes,
So, I
sometimes
mean, yeah.
sometimes it's overconfidence as well. It's or to transmit this confidence in your players. Every
Mm,
time I talk to them, the way you look at them, the way they look at you, I always like to look at their eyes. I always told them, like, I always told all the players I work with them, like, every time I look at their eyes, they are talking to me.
mm,
So I'm trying to do the same. When they are looking at me, I'm trying to transmit security. I'm trying to transmit positivity, and this is the way I'm gonna gain their trust. You
mm.
know, if
Yeah,
I have their trust, then everything is done.
yeah. So it's the body language. It's
Exactly.
yeah. I understand that. On a different note, because tennis is something that, we could be talking about for hours because
Yeah.
of all your experience. I'm sure there'd be a lot to hear and to sort of to enjoy listening to, but clearly that will probably go on, as you'd mentioned earlier as well, for hours if we had to have that conversation. If you were not a tennis player, what would you have? I mean, what is it that you would have liked to do in life?
Wow. This
If
is
you were not associated with tennis, is there something that comes to mind that, okay, maybe I know you said you picked up a racket when you were 4 years old, but
Well, I was also skiing, alpine ski, and at one point when I was 11, I remember my dad asked me to choose in between tennis or ski. So I would say something with the sports.
oh,
Since young age, I was doing everything about. I mean, I loved sport. Just to give you an example, like when let's say Olympics, when we have the Olympics, I could be 24/7 in front of the TV, watching any sport. It doesn't matter, from curling to whatever it is, but I can watch sports all day long. I love
oh.
sports.
So you were born to be a sportsman, in short.
100%. 100%. 100%.
Do you have any time to listen to music, to watch Netflix? Do you ever manage to do any of that?
Yeah, sometimes yes. I mean, it's depending on the time that I have, but yes, of course. Now that I have a daughter, like at the end of the day, you have to learn how to be in the same page as they are, and my daughter, for instance, is all day in Netflix, Spotify, this kind of weird music that they are listening now, and trap and whatever and rap, and it's crazy, but you have to get used to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Otherwise, you'll get completely left behind. So
yeah,
you,
exactly.
yeah. Yeah, totally. So whenever my chat with you is published on Spotify and all the other platforms, I'm sure it's your daughter who's going to find it
I
for
don't know.
you.
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure she's not gonna like to listen it, but it's okay.
It's been so nice talking to you, Galo.
It was
Thank you so
nice.
much for
Yeah,
your time.
it's
And
always a pleasure, as you know.
thank you so much. Thank you. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you, Payam.
Thank you.
I'm totally blown away by how humble and soft spoken Galo is. His progression from being a successful professional tennis player to a legendary coach, founder of Four Slam Tennis Academy, and now heading the new Davis Cup. Galo has truly achieved so much and made such a mark for himself in the tennis world. I really enjoyed listening to him talk about his fascinating journey, and I can imagine all the hard work, the sweat and blood that must have gone into getting this far with, I am certain, a lot more to come. Hope you've enjoyed this very special conversation on Melting Pot. Do continue listening. Until then, this is Payal.